Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham here with Hannah Burr on the eve of Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day, Hannah.
Happy Star Wars Day.
How is Florida?
It's hot.
Yeah? Okay.
But I will say there's something very magical about seeing the palm trees, seeing all the billboards for Disney and Universal as we're driving around, trying to figure out where we're going to go, what we're going to do.
Nice.
It's been hectic. It's been simple, but very excited for this next chapter.
Nice. Yeah, we're excited for you. I'll read some Patreon people have been kind of wishing you luck and all that stuff, and happy for you. Yeah, it's wet here in Kentucky. Today was the Kentucky Derby.
Ooh!
They ran in a sloppy track, but it was fun to watch as always. But it is, it's Star Wars Day. This is the release on Star Wars Day, so happy Star Wars Day to everyone out there. Of course, to our patrons, thanks for the support as always. I do want to read some of your all's comments from last week's episode. We did, Draconius Rex says, congrats, Hannah, on getting down there. And so did Brandon, says, congrats on the new job. I wonder when they're going to introduce K2SO.
Thank you.
I don't know when they're going to do K2SO, to be honest. That might be the last batch of episodes.
Maybe.
I don't think it's this next one, but
no. Might be last. We might, because in the first season of Andor, we got introduced to the model.
Correct.
So maybe it's the next. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess if he's not going to be on Ghorman, because he's now off Ghorman, which we'll talk about. But okay, and then of course Thrawn on our last week's episode said, I also heard about the recasting Bail Organa, which I think is crazy and will take me out of the show if I see someone else playing him. I would understand if we haven't seen Jimmy Smith play him since episode 3, but we have in Rogue One and Obi-Wan since the Disney era. So I think it would be really jarring not having him in there. Either you get Jimmy or you don't use him at all, in my opinion. I'm interested in get your take here.
I was about to say, we'll talk about it in a moment.
Yeah, and then he says, thought the first episode of Andor was a bit slow, but for episode 2 onwards, it really got going, and I've heard it only gets better from there. This is definitely a darker side of Star Wars and really shows you how bad the Empire was. Felt very Nazi Germany with the propaganda video and Empire checking on the immigrant workers, etc. What a terrifying world and time to live in. I do feel that I'm more interested in Mothma and the Empire side of the story than Andor's, like I did in season 1. Deidre and Cyril dinner with the mom scene was hilarious and awkward in a weird way. Love their relationship, even though we shouldn't be rooting for them. Can't wait for more Andor and both of your thoughts on them. Take care. May the Force be with you. And then you responded to him when he says, congrats on the new move, Hannah. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And then Kimura Jade says, I saw the whole SA sexual assault thing blowing up on the media before I got to the episode, so I wasn't quite a surprise, and I was very concerned. Maybe it would be different if I saw it more organically, but while I knew what was going on, it was much more violent in the hitting people sense than anything else. I understand they included it to show how those in power have no issue with despicable behavior towards those who are disempowered. However, I think in this day and age, it would have been made more sense for them to include a warning for sensitive content first. I completely sympathize with being blindsided by the content while watching with your daughter. Other than that, though, the first 3 episodes brought a lot of promise for the next 3 weeks. Everything about Genevieve O'Reilly's performance during the wedding was fantastic, and I didn't expect to like the Cyril Deidre thing, but I found it fascinating. Good points. Good points there.
Yeah, good points. I mean, it brings the whole idea, unfortunately, wokeness is a part of our modern day vocabulary. And there is a genuine question of, do you trigger people? Or rather, do you give a trigger warning so people aren't triggered? Because we do that with people who have epilepsy. We have warning screens pop up saying, hey, there's going to be flashing lights.
They do.
See somebody.
They do it for this show.
Exactly. They do. So why not do it for something like that? But then I also understand, like, it's such a delicate balance.
It is.
And I mean, I still stand by what I said last week. I know why they included it. There was a way to make it more delicate so that people who are mature know, I know what's going on, versus younger people who don't necessarily know what's going on, just realize, oh, he was going to hurt her. Like, they don't understand the huge severity of what's going on to protect their minds, frankly.
Right.
Like, it's a whole delicate, and it's a conversation I'm sure that's going to happen for generations upon generations. But as we're about to talk about, Andor really is more of an adult show than we think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. I think it's definitely feeling that way, and I think these next 3 episodes that we're going to talk about here soon, I mean, even more so lends itself to being a lot more of an adult show. Because I'll just say this right now, but like, again, I watched this with my 15-year-old daughter, and I can tell she was actually kind of checking out this last 3, because even though to me, it was quite intense, but I think it kind of lost her a little bit because of the adult themes, so, but she's going to stick with it, obviously. So, okay. Before we get to that, just a couple things. I just read this today, but there is the new Star Wars book, which I was surprised that it wasn't announced at Celebration. But this book was announced yesterday, and it's called Star Wars: The Last Order.
Oh.
Takes place shortly after Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
And it follows Finn and Jannah. And if you remember Jannah was the other stormtrooper that was on the planet. Wasn't Endor. I can't remember the planet that they went to where the Death Star was destroyed.
Yeah.
And Jannah was there, and of course joined the Resistance. And
interesting.
And apparently there's the way they set it up is like she almost was possibly Lando's daughter that got lost, right?
Yeah.
But there's no mention of that. It's just that it just says it will take former troopers Finn and Jannah on a new adventure together, and teases that it will reveal more of their origins. The book will be released on October 21st, and it's titled Star Wars: The Last Order. And it's by author Kwame Balia. And
I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the official description. It says, following the end of Rise of Skywalker, the Resistance rescues a ship full of young passengers who have been kidnapped by the First Order. As Finn and Jannah set out to find the First Order officer responsible, before he can endanger any more children, the 2 former stormtroopers must wrestle with their own complicated past as soldiers of the oppressive regimen. Take a deep dive into the pasts of popular characters Finn and Jannah in this richly drawn, action-packed story that fans have been asking for.
Have fans been asking for this?
I don't know. I just read that part. You're right. You're right. That popped in my head just when you said that.
Have we been asking for this?
I think. Look, the Rise of Skywalker was what, 5 years ago, right?
Really, 5 years ago.
Wait a minute. It was 2019, right? Yeah, 2019. So it'll be.
Rise of Skywalker was 2019.
Yes, 2019. It was right before COVID. So it'll be 6 years this December. And or did it come out? Yeah, it came out in December, right? Yeah, December 2019. I think after that, people were asking about Jannah, and
Well, yeah, they were asking about Jannah, and I'm sure people were asking about, like, how did the First Order recruit these stormtroopers? Because obviously they're not clones. But
yeah, and a lot of that was revealed in like Bloodlines. A little bit had some of that,
yes.
and then I think even kind of like the Aftermath series a little bit because right, okay, yeah, it was Hux's father that
even
was
Phasma. That book revealed something.
and Phasma. That's right, you're right, Phasma. Yep. So we kind of understand where Finn comes from, unless we're going to kind of dive into maybe who his parents are and things like that, maybe. But I don't know. I'll check it out, but I'm not like.
I wasn't asking.
Yeah, I wasn't asking for this. So, but obviously they're getting into this time period now with this book, with Starfighter coming out, with Rey's movie. So they're tapping into. So now this will be the first piece of media beyond the Rise of Skywalker. This is coming out October 21st. So,
all right.
Yeah. So this is the first foray into that time period, and then we'll get Starfighter unless something else comes between now and May of 2027, which probably seems likely. Okay, so there's that. Tales of the Underworld debuts. In fact, we're recording this. It's 11:30 Saturday night, so about 30 minutes it possibly could drop, which means I'm going to watch it while I'm putting this show together.
That means I can't watch it until tomorrow night.
That's all right. My daughter's going to get very mad at me because she's got somebody sleeping over tonight, so she probably won't be able to watch it with me. So I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell her though. That I'm going to.
That's straight up rude.
That's not rude.
Are you a member of the Empire, man?
Hey,
what?
I've got a job to do. I've got to watch this stuff. She has somebody over and can't. So,
Yeah, she has her own podcast.
She has her own. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So I will. So to go check that out. Obviously, it's the backstory. Well, I don't know about because I think it's a backstory of Cad Bane. Seems like it's a continuing story of what we saw last of Asajj Ventress in the Bad Batch. So
I really, really do hope, though. I stand by what I said. I hope it's how Bane got into the Underworld and how Asajj got out.
Very true.
That's what I really, really hope.
I think you're going to be right about that.
Because there are always parallel stories.
Totally.
People faced with the same question, same situation, and they react differently.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think you're right about that. I think it's going to be, like you said, parallel stories. I think it's going to be, pitting they're villains in a sense, but kind of like they did with the Empire one. They're kind of giving them justifications almost, or reasons, why they go down this path.
Well, we see their points of view. We have a better understanding of why they took the path they took.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Which is also the same thing we saw with Tales of the Jedi between Dooku and Ahsoka.
Right. Trying to see. I know there were some comments on the Facebook page. Sometimes I keep forgetting to look at that, but anyway, yeah. There's comments from a gentleman named Zach on here for these next episodes, so I'll read that right before we go into our review. So yeah, Tales of the Underworld coming on May the 4th. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like that's kind of the only thing coming out on Star Wars Day. If you go to StarWars.com, there's definitely deals out there. You can get deals mainly on like video games and some merchandise and things like that. But Celebration being so close, we got a lot of announcements there. So, just the reveal of Tales of the Underworld is pretty much the big one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't
As far as we
anticipate any.
know.
Do what?
I said, as far as we know.
I think it's possible that the Mandalorian and Grogu, like whatever trailer they showed at Celebration, will probably could drop tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably it, though. Yeah. So, what are you going to be doing on Star Wars Day?
I will be going to Magic Kingdom, and then I'll be going to Hollywood Studios to that too.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing Star Wars Day.
That's I would love to be there on Star Wars Day too.
What are you doing for Star Wars Day?
Well, like I said, the plan was to get up and watch Tales of the Underworld, but I'm gonna be up anyway at midnight, so hopefully it drops.
If it drops at midnight.
If it drops at midnight, I don't know. Correct, because sometimes they wait until
Pacific.
West Coast, which means it's 3 a.m., which I'm not staying up till 3 a.m.
No, sorry.
Right. So
Dave, I love you. We're too old for that. We're too old to stay up till 3.
Yeah. I mean, I make it there sometimes if I have to, but, I'm usually like 1, 2 o'clock.
I can't stay up that
late. Yeah. So I'm going to wait and see. I'll see if that, now that I say it, it's probably not going to drop till 3 a.m. So
right.
I will wait until the morning and watch that. We got tickets to Thunderbolts. I know it's not a Star Wars thing, but I've been dying to see it since Friday and haven't been able to.
It's Disney connected. It's like a Disney brother or something.
That's right.
Like that.
But then I immediately going to come home because that'll be mid-afternoon, and I'm going to throw on some Star Wars movies.
Oh, of course.
I'm going to chill out, watch some Star Wars. My wife Brooke actually, she'll make some snacks and treats that are like Star Wars themed and stuff. So
amazing. If we have time tomorrow night, I know we'll throw on Empire Strikes Back.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know which one I'll throw in. I'll probably.
That's always a go-to for us for some reason.
Empire.
Yeah.
Right. See, right now, if it's like just a one-off, I'm kind of throwing in Solo these days.
Oh.
Like I really like Solo, man. I really do.
Great. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But I think there's something about, for us at least, the OG-ness of it.
True. That's true. You're right. Yeah, which is it's funny because even though it's maybe not, well, I guess it should be a pretty big anniversary, but like, it's the 20th anniversary. Right? Usually it's like the by tens, right? The 10s, the 20s, because it's the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So,
which is insane. That's bonkers. Bonkers. That's the first Star Wars film I saw in theaters.
Correct.
Like that's
insane. And so I might throw that one in, but people, because it's kind of an odd number, you don't really think about it. But Empire, like you said, it's the 45th anniversary of that this year.
Oh dang! I didn't even think of that. I just thought Empire is my favorite out of all of them. So
same.
Punch that sucker in.
45th anniversary though.
Dang.
Yeah. Hey, 2 years from now, it's 50th anniversary of A New Hope.
Okay.
Star Wars Celebration that year. Okay, look, Star Wars Day. I feel like Star Wars Day kind of snuck up on me this year. It's become a really big deal. StarWars.com really advertises it now each year now, and
even
I remember
Plus advertises it. Did you see the new banner they did?
Oh yeah, they started doing that like 2 years ago. I think I feel like 2 or 3 years ago.
I don't know why, but I just noticed it this year. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, like I said, I think 5, 6, even I think 5, 6, 7 years ago, they would throw something up on there, Happy Star Wars Day, but it wasn't like a big kind of celebration thing. Like I feel like it is now, and I think everybody kind of realizes it's a worldly thing, Star Wars Day now. So
it is.
Yeah. So if you go to StarWars.com, there's like I said, there's actually a graphic there now that says the day is almost here, and it's got the Tales of the Underworld thing there. It's got merchandise deals, so you can kind of go there and find the deals. Like just real quick, there's like rings and shirts and albums and outfits and all kinds of stuff. Loungefly backpacks and.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh my gosh, my wallet just lost $100. Oh
no. Like Her Universe, Ashley Eckstein's site has 50% off for merchandise.
Oh dang, okay.
Yeah, so Amazon's got some stuff. So it's like, it's a big merchandise day, they're pushing. So go do that and watch some Star Wars. I know. I believe episode 3 is kind of still out there a little bit in some areas. That made a massive, for a re-release, had a massive weekend. It's up to 900 overall, 900 million, which put it like, I think I saw it's in the top 10 now of all time films now. So
that does not surprise me. I mean, the thing is, are there parts of the film we don't like? Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely. You cannot, I'm sorry, objectively, you cannot say that it's a great film. However, if you want to talk about how pivotal it is, and you want to talk about, especially after reading the novelization and the real thought process?
Thought processes?
Is it processes?
Probably, but
the thoughts.
I'm not an English major.
Of all the players, we'll just say the thoughts.
Yeah.
The thoughts of all the characters. It's really impactful. Like, to me, I will never ever forget in that fight between Anakin / Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. When Obi-Wan realized in the middle of the fight, he's gone. He's gone. And it switches from defensive to offensive. And you actually see that in the movie. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. And I think now that a lot of us have seen it, it's been years, 20, since we've seen it. There's a lot more maturity behind it. Like wine or cheese, it ages fine in the sense of you have a better appreciation for it. So it really doesn't surprise me that it did that well in the box office.
Agreed. Yeah, and plus the rejuvenation of Hayden Christensen coming around again.
I never understood the hate. I sort of understood the hate for him, but I never understood the hate for him. I mean, like,
well, I think
I loved him growing. Like, I actually had a crush on him, but I loved him and his acting growing up. I did.
Well, look, I think anybody that took that role was gonna face this kind of scrutiny, no matter what. I mean, it was never gonna be the satisfying role that everybody wanted it to be. And I think it came from episode 2 mostly. He was so young in that. I don't think there's a lot of people that can't, discredit his performance episode 3. I think the turn of the Vader was pretty priceless, and I think it just takes time for people to appreciate it. And the fact that he came back and he's playing Vader now. I mean, it's a hell of a story, Yes. And did you see? I don't know if you saw the clip that he was the night that episode 3 came back in theaters. Him and Sam Jackson showed up at the.
I saw that. No,
that's awesome.
Dang, I wish I was there right now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, so go enjoy some Star Wars. All right, let's talk about Andor.
Mm.
We got 4, 5, and 6 here. Episode 4 was called "Never Been to Ghorman." 5 was "I Have Friends Everywhere," and 6, "What a Festive Evening." On the Facebook group here, I wanted to read Zach, not your Zach, a different Zach. He kind of did a spoiler review here. He says, "I will give these 3 episodes 2.5 out of 5. I would try to do my best to give 3 positive and 3 negatives. The positives: number 1, got a lot of content for this time. A little confusing at times, which maybe means I need to watch again after it's through. But it's good to get context sometimes instead of just questions or filler episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, the sets and scenery were good. Definitely put me in a Star Wars setting. Similar stuff I think I found in Jedi Survivor / Fallen Order.
Sorry to interrupt, but good. I think you're looking for incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Like,
Yeah.
insane.
Fantastic. Number 3, the scenes with Saul were interesting and intense, especially the scene where he and the other guy are planting the device. Negatives: this one sort of contradicts my first positive, but the episodes were a bit slow and slog. It's good. We got a lot of context, but at times things could have been a little faster. Number 2, there seemed to be a lot of tropes in this episode, but people will try to say it's deep and mature. Sure, but that doesn't mean it's not also tropey. Damaged character turns to drugs. One character threatens a person with a gun, but other person gets shot and killed. Trying to sneak into a place and take something, listening device barely gets away with it. Damaged character gets the revenge on the other person. The informant was, surprise, surprise, found out to be known by Saul, etc. We have seen these things in other shows and movies, which is sort of okay because there's hardly anything new nowadays, but can't really say anything is deep and whatnot when it's a little copy and paste.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, this negative is mainly on me, but I don't really find myself drawn to any one character. None of them are people I find that are interesting or worth rooting for. Maybe that's the point of the show, but in my opinion, watching Star Wars, I want somebody I can root for or identify with in some manner. What do y'all think? What are the things you liked or don't like?" And then Amanda replied on here and says, "These 3 episodes were definitely slower than the first 3. Cinta's death didn't feel very impactful, unlike Brasso's, because she's been mostly aloof to us other than a sparse amount of scenes. And yes, it was very old and tired trope. The one highlight to it was watching Vel deal with it. Her points about Cinta were beautiful in their way. I liked the revenge plot for Bix, but it did feel a bit too slow. The setup is all in Luthen realizing she won't be healthy until she gets that revenge, and they get the opportunity because of Lonnie being assigned to Dr. Gorsting. They should have let him cook longer before they blew it up, though. Dude got a mercy kill in like 15 minutes. That is interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Hannah, let's get into it.
I mean,
Your overall impressions of these 3 episodes, yeah.
I don't disagree with those reviews. These did seem slower. I will say, and I say second episode, but it's really the 5th episode, the second in this batch.
Yeah.
When it was Deidre, Cyril, and I feel like Commander's the wrong ranking. But I'm blanking out on his name. When those 3 were talking about how they were going to do this plan where they're like, hey, we're going to let them succeed. We're going to let them do this so that we can do this. That's when I was hooked. I do believe that, unfortunately, Star Wars, how do I politely say this? Narratively drained. They tend to go to tropes. They tend to go to storylines that we've seen before. Unfortunately, I think that stigma was implanted in The Force Awakens with the fact that it felt very much like a rewriting of A New Hope. Have we seen different storylines since then? Absolutely, we have. I don't disagree with the tropes. However, I think tropes and stereotypes exist for a reason. It's because they're natural. It's because they are a part of life. Would I have loved Bix to not turn to drugs? Absolutely. I would have loved for her to be tempted and then turn them away. That would be amazing. Unfortunately, that's not real life. Unfortunately, there are people who just need the pain to go away. And thankfully, I don't know what that feels like. God willing, I will never know what that feels like.
Right.
But unfortunately, some people do. So while I do agree there are tropes, and that's just one example, I know you listed several, and I agree they're all tropes, but they exist for a reason. With Saw Gerrera, it just shows how panicked he is, and also how desperate he is, and how to the extreme he will go for the cause, which I think is supposed to set up the perfect foil for Mon Mothma and for Senator Organa. Like, that just sets up. And you haven't finished Reign of the Empire, right?
No, I'm almost there. The
last chapter, you'll understand when I say I don't understand how they work. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I won't spoil it for you, but for those of you who've read it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Like, so, and then even with like losing someone you love. Yes, that's a trope. I kind of saw it coming. I kind of called it. But they exist for a reason. And it's because we care. It's because we do like those tropes. They resonate with us for some reason. So while I agree, you can call those tropes from a mile away and be like, oh, look, there's that trope again. You got to admit, you like that trope. You understand it exists for a reason. And while some people say, oh, Star Wars can't come up with anything original, well, tropes exist for a reason. There's a formula that works. And it's pretty evident.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I really do believe that Andor is, because even with these episodes, we get more of Andor's character, and we get more of his maturity and more of his sophistication and understanding of what's really going on and what's the best strategy and all of that. I really do think this show is also about how is the Empire thinking? What is the Empire doing to gain its strength and to really try to outplay the rebellions they start seeing pop up? Because right now, they're still not unified. We have Luther freaking out. We have Mon Mothma freaking out in politics. Not going to lie, Senator Organa really threw me off because it wasn't Jimmy. I know they wanted to do that as like a tip of the hat, but you could have used literally any other senator for that role.
Well, we'll get to that. I'll answer that.
Okay, I want to hear your answer to that.
Yeah.
He didn't do a bad job. Don't get me wrong. He didn't do a bad job, but me sitting there, I was like, you could have used another senator. But seeing Mon Mothma being like, what am I supposed to do with all of this? Nobody's listening to, like, the first 1.5 episodes was very much about politics.
Yeah.
It was about strategy and about planning of information. And then the second 1.5 was action. It did bring me back to the first, to the prequels with regards to politics, because it was like there was a lot of politics going on. And if you don't pay attention, you're going to miss it. You're not going to understand what's going on. So, and I know they were trying to make it more attractive. Sorry, in this day and age, it's really hard to pay attention to politics. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's a lot of jumbled nonsense. There, this batch, I don't like as much as the first batch, but I understand its value.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my garbled review.
Um, yeah. So obviously they're following through with, which is what they said before, which is they're skipping a year each time, right? So we're now at BBY3, and it's been a year or so since the last batch. And I was, I will say, I was expecting, I was, I was expecting to get what I think we're now going to get in the next three.
Oh,
Like I thought, since it's been a year, the Ghorman thing is going to kind of come to head, which it didn't. It's kind of setting up for what's going to come, which I think is the next 3 episodes. So I understand the slowness of some of the people commenting, right? Because even though I felt like the last episode, which is episode 6 in this batch, it started getting a little intense. There was a lot going on at the party, obviously, with Luthen and trying to get the microphone, and then what was happening on Ghorman. And it's like you were feeling the intensity, but there's this thought that there's this really big event that's going to happen at Ghorman, and I thought it was going to happen in this, and it didn't. So I was a little let down, to be honest, a little bit let down. I think the Cinta death, it's one of the things where I will be honest, like I felt like it was powerful. I felt like, Vel played it well, and, her reaction to it.
amazing. Absolutely. The shell shock of although I'll be honest with the guy who killed her, I wouldn't have been that polite. I literally would have pinned him against a wall and been like, you don't deserve to cry.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a part of it too that, how do I say it? It was because it happened off camera, and you didn't, like you got it when she turned around, kind of thing. It was like, to be honest, I don't know, and it's hard for me to say this because I felt like it was just edited wrong, to be honest.
I
Like,
agree. I think
you know what I mean?
because all of a sudden I was like, oh, so no one got hit, and then all of a sudden someone's down. And I'm like, why is she down?
Right.
Oh, the bullet hit her.
Yes. It was weird how it was weird because it was like a random shot, and people reacted to it like it was just a random shot, like they heard something.
It
But
was weird.
it wasn't that it hit anybody until like they saw somebody laying. It's just, I don't know. It was just, I don't. So I probably would have edited it differently. But that's just speaking because I used to be an editor. But either way, you feel it still. You feel it. It's similar to Brasso in a sense. 'Cause you don't see him get shot either, but you see the stormtrooper, right? So he got shot.
And I don't know how they did it, but that was way more impactful than her death. Like,
Agreed.
it wasn't impactful for me until the reaction to it.
Agreed. And then I agree. I guess I'll just comment too about tropes, which are, however you want to define it. It's like, basically it's like reoccurring themes, right? Basically is what that is.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. And I agree that I think tropes exist everywhere. I think there's like Zach said, it's hard to reinvent something new now that we've got so many years of cinema, and it's like you can't really, but it's safe to say that a lot of what we're getting in this series we've never gotten in Star Wars before.
We didn't. Star Wars is wrestling with the really rough questions of life.
Yes. The first three dealt with the sexual assault, which, again, you can make the argument that there's been somewhat sexual assault in Star Wars, but not that blatant. This is drug use, like a drug user. We haven't seen that in Star Wars. Like, we know drugs exist.
Because of spice.
Totally. You know, people are using it, but you're not seeing the effects and you're not centered around it on a character like we are right now with Bix.
I mean, even the adult theme of, is your life really worth it for the cause? Like, that alone is kids don't think about that. Kids don't think, oh, is my life worth? Like, do the ends justify the means? Like, that's a very adult theme to think about.
Right.
But that's something that's always been in the rebellion's mind. We just never have explored it before as explicit as this.
Totally. Right. Yeah.
So it's not even like about sexual assault and drugs. It's other, like, I don't even know how to say it, because it's technically not an adult theme because adult applies to certain stuff, but it's a very mature thing to think about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, and I think we even mentioned this maybe last week, or I know we mentioned this here, but, you know, even we talk about Luke blowing up the Death Star. I mean, he's like celebrated for like mass murder.
I was about to say, like, what's the other side of that? Like, I mean, what is the name of that youth novel?
A Star Wars one?
Yeah, the Star Wars one, where they're on opposite sides.
Oh, Lost Stars?
Thank you, Lost Stars. Like, they wrestled with that because,
absolutely,
like, that's sure, yeah. You're like, I'm sorry, death is a part of war, but you also have to understand, so many people died. So many people who didn't think what they were doing was wrong died.
Right.
Like, they thought what they were doing was right.
Yes.
And that's really hard to think about.
It is really hard to think about. It is really hard. I mean, they have to show that. That's why they have to show us, especially in this series, how far the Empire goes.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
you have to justify what Andor and them are doing. Because if you just look at what they're doing, they're terrorists. And they're killing people.
They are, especially Saw Gerrera. Like, I'm sorry, the more that I watch,
well, he is pretty much a terrorist.
I was about to say, I love Whitaker so much. I love him, and his acting is great. This batch made me hate him. I was like, oh my gosh, what you're doing is not right. I started to not like him in the Leia book. But now I'm just like, dude.
Yeah.
No. What you're doing is wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Like, I tell you that the Bail part of it, I need to rewatch it because I was lost a little bit on what he was doing. Do you know exactly what he was doing?
I'm not going to spoil it.
Besides, well, you can. I mean, we should be talking about it.
Well, it's Reign of the Empire kind of spoil.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm not going to spoil it, because what he said, I was like, okay, that kind of does tie to Reign of the Empire.
Well, I mean, I understand what he's
like, in that, I will say this, he's like in that middle ground between Saw and Mon. He's like, very much according to the Leia book, he's very much like, stuff has to be done, but he doesn't think it has to be to the extreme that Saw goes.
Yeah, totally.
So he's like, yes, acts of war need to be done, but not 1 million people need to die. Right.
Yeah.
So that's his weird middle ground.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand the scenes that happen, which is, you know, they're testing out this device and all this stuff, but like I just got confused on what was happening and where they were. I mean, obviously he was trying to look for a mole.
Yeah, I just,
Um, so
it could have been any other senator, in my opinion.
are you talking about Bale or Saul?
Oh, sorry, I was talking about Bale.
Yeah, I'm talking about Saul.
Saul is just ruthless.
Yeah,
And like that's just his extreme. He's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who dies. This is for the greater good. He is very much ends justify the means.
right.
Mon is ends do not justify the means. Bail Organa is in the middle.
Correct. Yes.
So it's very, very interesting. But I'm just like, Saul, you're like, I'm sorry. I don't believe the ends justify the means as a person. I don't believe that.
Hmm.
I understand this is a unique time. And
Right.
sure, war is different. But I did not like Saul after these. I'm officially like, no. I love you, Whitaker. I think you're doing an amazing job in this character, but you're doing an amazing job making me hate this character
Yeah.
as much as the Empire.
Right. So yeah, the Bale thing. I saw a interview with Tony Gilroy, who wrote this thing, and he was saying that they really tried to get Jimmy back. Schedules just didn't allow it.
Yeah.
And the reason, and I see a lot of people saying like, well, like you said, like you can use anybody else there. He said that the reason why he put that scene, because that scene originally wasn't in the script.
Oh, really?
But he did it as just to reintroduce Bale with a different character because he has a bigger role in the next 3 episodes.
Well,
so this is not the only time we're seeing Benjamin Bratt as Bail Organa.
Even though it threw me off for a second, he didn't do a bad job. I feel like he watched what Jimmy did and mimicked what Jimmy did. So I'm not mad at it. I get scared. You and I both know in this industry, schedules are hard to align.
Yes, totally.
So yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
It's still hard. Like, I'm sorry.
It's very hard. No, it's definitely hard.
And that's nothing against him. It's really not. It's just
not. No.
You have an image in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see something different and you're just like, oh, like I had to pause it for a second and be like, it's okay. Schedules didn't align. This happens.
Yep.
All right, let's watch. And when I watched it, I'm like, oh, he studied what Jimmy did as Organa. He's mimicking him very, very well. This is going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand that because he has a bigger role, because you easily could have had that be a different character or not even have the scene, obviously.
Right, but now that you said that, I'm like, okay, well, then sure.
So I think it's smart that he introduced him a little bit so that we can get used to. So it's not. So we know who it is when he starts really becoming a part of the story.
Right, we're not incredibly shocked or thrown out of the experience.
Now, one thing I wish they would have done, and maybe schedules didn't align either, but they mentioned Brea.
Yes.
I wish they would have had her in the scene, the girl that played her in Obi-Wan. Like that would have made it a little bit easier.
Yes, I 1,000,000% agree with that.
Yeah. So I think that would have been cool to see because right away you'd be like, oh, that's Brea, and that's must be the new Bail. So instead of having them mention her, kind of thing. Right. So
no, I agree with you.
No, I mean, look, Benjamin Bratt's a seasoned actor. He's been around for a long time.
Phenomenal.
It was Kathleen Kennedy that suggested him.
I mean, that's not a wrong suggestion. I really can't think of anybody else who would come close.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's the thing too, is like, it's one thing to recast. It's another thing to like recast someone that doesn't look anything like the person that originally played him.
I will go back to the whole example of Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power. Elrond, young Elrond, looks nothing like old Elrond.
Right.
But he does the character right. So for this, I'm like, he does the character right, so I can forgive.
Yeah.
In quotation marks.
Right. So on that same topic, like you said, Mothma had some good scenes again. I think she took a little bit of a step back in this 3 episodes, like Andor did, I feel like, in the first 3 episodes. So a little more Andor in this one, and Bix, and then less Mothma. But, I do want to say, I went back just to remind some people out there. I went back and watched the Rebels episode that Mon Mothma was in. And I think we're getting close to that scene where she, basically lays out that the Emperor is evil and the Empire is evil.
Right now, she has so much tact, but you can tell she's about to lose her mind.
Yes. And what triggers it is what happens on Ghorman.
Mm-hmm. So we're probably going to get, it would be really, really cool actually to get that scene in live action.
I know, right? I don't know if they're going to go there, but I think they might.
Or maybe they'll at least lead up to it.
Yeah, exactly.
She's walking into the room and then
boom, yeah, maybe. It'd be really cool to see. I know we'd never get it, but it'd be really cool to see the actual scene in Rebels where she's bringing the Alliance together.
Right. Well, we do need that scene, or we at least need an implication of that scene, because that is what brings all of these factions together.
Right.
That's what unifies them. So that's what makes me think we actually are going to see the scene in live action. But if we don't, at the very least, we're going to get the lead up to it and get the implication that it happened. So
she does the scene from the Senate, which is in Rebels, it's a hologram. But then she ends up getting on the Ghost and addresses the Rebel Alliance and brings the letter. So think about it.
It would align with the rumors. It would align with the rumors.
Because you would have Hera, which we've seen before, and you would have Ezra,
which we've
seen before. I know. Because Kanan's not in the scene. He's somewhere else, and neither is Sabine. So it's you only have them two and then a couple other officers. That would be pretty awesome. That would be pretty awesome. So I encourage everybody to go kind of see that, because, again, it's just crazy, again, how this stuff works out to where she mentions this Ghorman incident. Now we're about to see it, years later.
Which is insane. We know what's going to happen, but we're all sitting here with bated breath.
We don't know exactly what's going to happen. That's what's
That's the thing. I feel like that's the worst part of it. It's the anticipation, because you know what happens, but you don't know how it happens.
Exactly.
So it's just is this when it's going to happen? Is this when it's going to happen? And then
I know. Yeah. So, Ghorman, can be a big thing these next 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's only 3 more episodes after that, which is going to be something to set up into Rogue One. Now, I'm curious how they're going to do this, because if you think about it, we're at BBY 3. Next 3 are going to be BBY 2.
Mm-hmm.
Next, the last one is technically going to be BBY 1, which is 1 year before the Battle of Yavin, technically, which means it's about a year still from Rogue One, but they said that it's going to continue into Rogue One, so I guess there's going to be a little more of a time jump, I feel like.
It's either going to be a time jump, or we're going to get a bit of the origin story of Jyn.
I don't think we're gonna get Jyn at all.
You don't?
No.
I'm sorry. Rebel Rising is such a great book.
I know, I agree.
That should have been part of Rogue One, because that would have made Jyn a 1,000,000% better character. There, I've said it. Sorry. Not sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's so many different fan service moments they could do. You could see a Leia, technically.
I mean, I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, though.
I mean, not with Bail. I mean, by the time we get, I mean, technically now she's like she's in the training, right? She's like, she's training to be a senator or training to be in politics and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, she's training to like be the Princess of Alderaan or something.
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Right.
that.
So I think it'll be just fan service. I don't think there's a need. So, but anyway, yeah, big stuff coming. If Ghorman gets solved, or if the conclusion happens with that, then I'm not sure. There's obviously some event that's going to happen in the last three. So I saw something. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I saw something on social media, like it was a chart of all the characters, and then it had X's, with the people that died, and they're like, who's next? Who's gonna die in these next 3 episodes?
Cyril.
Ooh, you think Cyril?
Cyril
Wow.
or Deidre?
There's rumors, there's people out there speculating that Cyril, once he finds out what he's being played, that he's actually going to turn against the Empire.
That's one theory. That's why I think Deidre might die. But then I think it would be more interesting if Cyril died. And Deidre all of a sudden is like, what's this guilt feeling?
Yeah, true.
So I'm going to go with Cyril. I think Cyril's going to die.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
I'm going to go with that.
I think we might get a couple deaths.
Oh, we are going to get a couple deaths. I'm sure of that. I think Bix is going to die.
In this next 3?
Potentially.
I think she's going to get in the last 3. She's going to die.
I
think that's the last thing that's going to send Cassian over the edge.
She's going to die within the next 6 episodes.
Who is?
Bix.
Okay.
I think within the next 3, Cyril's going to die.
Okay. I think Bix is the last 3. I think Cyril, I think that's a possibility. I think you might be right.
Because that's a twist, right? Normally everyone's like, oh, Deidre's going to die, and then Cyril's going to turn. I think Cyril's going to die, and Deidre's going to have a lot of doubts in this next 3.
I think Deidre ends up dying too at some point.
She'll probably die in the last 3, but I think she'll die in the last 3 helping the rebellion.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
I think that's what I think this is such a far reach, but I think in the next 3, Cyril's going to die. Deidre's going to doubt a lot of what the Empire is doing. Like, that's going to start.
Yeah.
Cyril's going to start talking to her about some of the doubts, and then he dies, and she's like, oh, I caused his death. And like, now she's like second guessing everything, because clearly they have a great connection. It's a weird relationship, but it's not a bad relationship as far as we know.
Right.
And then in the last 3, she's going to make a last minute decision to help the rebellion, and it's going to cause her death, but she doesn't care at that point because the one thing she loved is gone.
Right.
So that I'm calling that right now.
Okay.
She'll die, but it's going to be because she helps the rebellion.
Interesting. Okay. I like that. I think I might jump on your theory of him dying, Cyril dying. I think Val dies.
Oh yes.
These next, because I think that whole concern that Mothma had, I think it was a little foreshadowing. Yeah.
I don't think Luthen dies, but I think Luthen gets out of the whole rebellion thing.
See, I think part of me thinks like he's gonna always be there behind the scenes.
Really?
I think we're actually gonna end up getting
I don't think he dies.
No, I don't think he dies either. But I think he always stays behind the scenes.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think we may get some future stories of him in like books or comics, like during the whole original trilogy.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, that he's still operating. I think a guy like that.
I take it back. He doesn't die. He does not die.
Yeah.
And he still works for the rebellion.
A guy like that, it's just hard to kill. You know what I mean? Like, it's just hard to kill that guy.
Yeah.
So
he knows too many people.
Now his partner, I can't remember her name for some reason now. I think she's probably on the death block at some point.
Probably.
maybe.
Or she's going to quit. One of the two.
Or yeah, exactly. How come that it ekes me? I forgot her name. Clea. It's Clea.
Yeah. I think Wilmon is going to die.
Yeah, I think he's going to die.
I think he's going to die. Bix is going to die.
Yep.
I unfortunately think Ghorman, the name of the planet?
Ghorman.
I think all the major rebellion people there are going to die.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
What's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I think there's always a thing of like, well, who escapes? Who doesn't? I think they're all going to die.
I think a lot's going to die there.
I don't think any of them are going to escape.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's funny. I think, you're talking about adult themes, you had your kind of essay on the first three, kind of got your drugs in this three. I think it's possible the next three is just death.
Probably.
Murder, massacre, and death.
Can't get more adult than that.
No.
Even though Disney was like, hey, here are all these classic movies with dead parents. Have fun. But this childhood trauma.
There's always death in Disney. Okay. That's gonna be good. That's some good talk there. Yeah, I think we're gonna be I think we're gonna be blown away by these next three episodes. I think there's gonna be a lot of intensity going on.
I really hope so.
I agree. I think both sides of it. We didn't really talk about the political side because I think Mothma and Bail. I think there's going to be a lot more there.
Talk about mature and adult politics.
Totally. Yeah.
Need I say more?
Yeah, no kidding. Okay. Well, look, new episodes of Andor Tuesday night. It's Star Wars Day, so go celebrate Star Wars. Catch up on Andor.
It is literally Star Wars Day right now.
It is Star Wars Day right now, and Tales of the Underworld has not dropped yet.
There you go. Pacific time. It's time for bed, man.
So I will go to bed and watch it in the morning. So after I put the show up. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for listening, for watching, of course, sticking with us. Thanks, Hannah, for joining, even though you're on the road in Florida now. Well, not on the road anymore. You're actually living there now.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
At least we're on the same time zone, which is always good.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go check out the Mandalore podcast where he is in a different time zone, and I got to stay up really late to do that show.
Oh, that's nothing for you.
Well, I'm getting a little older now. It's not all that great. But no, it's we're deep diving into that. I don't feel like it's hitting as well with Martin this season right now. So he's got less notes.
Oh no!
No, but I'm curious. I haven't heard from him yet about these next three, so we'll see.
I'm gonna have to listen to this next one to be like, Martin, don't.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, go enjoy the rest of your Star Wars Day, and we will be back next week after these next three, and talk about Star Wars Underworld as well.
Yes,
Tales of the Underworld.
Yes.
So go check that out. Thanks, Hannah, as always.
Thank you, Dave, as always.
Take care, everybody. Happy Star Wars Day. May the Force be with you.